Hey everybody, Reach here. So, this is gonna be a Frontier Defense speedrunning guide. I've alluded in the past about my journey with Frontier speedrunning, and I even had a whole dedicated video on hating on one specific person. But then I realized I never really went into depth about how speedrunning this mode even works. So, hey, here we go. Even if you're not interested in speedrunning, I still encourage you to watch this video because you'll probably learn something new anyways. Let's talk about Livesplit. This is a PC only thing, but don't worry console players, you can still use a regular old timer. Now I'm going to be a bum here and link a video to another tutorial which goes into more depth about setting up Livesplit in general. But if you're already familiar with Titanfall 2's Livesplit, then here's what we're going to do for Frontier Defense. Right clicking on your splits here will bring up a menu. Click on Edit Splits at the top and you'll see that I have 5 segments for 5 waves. You'll also notice that I have the game name at the top and the category of Frontier Defense selected as well. Right below is the auto splitter, which will automatically split our times upon each wave complete. You'll want to enable this, and just to double check, go into the settings to the right and make sure split on wave change in Frontier Defense is enabled. Once that's done, you'll want to head out and right click to bring the menu up again. Go into settings at the bottom and make sure that you have global hotkeys enabled and your bind set up at the top. For Frontier Defense, while the auto splitter will automatically split after each wave, it will not start automatically for wave 1. This means that once you touch the ground in-game, you'll have to manually start your timer. Now let's get into loadouts. When you're running, there are 4 tacticals you want to keep in your back pocket, though you're going to be using stim or grapple for like 99% of the time. The other 1% is when you switch to AWOL or phase for specific scenarios. More on that later. For weapons, softball is no doubt the best option for clearing out the little guys, which means for all wave 1s, the softball is going to be your go-to option. Onwards for wave 1 though, most people will switch to the SMR for the Titan damage. And fun fact, tactical does work on grunts in this mode, so you can spam your tactical as long as you're killing things. For your anti-Titan weapon, the Archer is going to be great for the damage, and it also allows you to lock on from the dropship and respawn. Though keep in mind, something like the MGL can be better to clear out drones in a map like Rise. It just depends on the situation. Same thing with your ordnance, really. Satchels are going to be your go-to for most of the time, but with certain setups, like an exoplanet, you can plant satchels to trap an area, and then switch to something like Fire Stars, so you have a better tool for grunt clears for that wave 1. For kits, Ordnance Expert for wave 1 should be a given. But then for the rest of the waves, Phase Embark is my go-to, since exiting and re-entering your Titan can come into play sometimes. For the second pilot kit, there's no reason to choose anything else but Titan Hunter. For what Titans to use, by far the best Titan is a Ronin for solo play. With the ability to basically have infinite sword core, unmatched mobility, and no one to compete for core with, Ronin completely dominates. AKA, use Highlander. For the general Titan kit, depending on what you're doing, either overcore or counter ready will be your pick. Now one thing I haven't mentioned yet is, what the heck do I buy? Because, oh yeah, there's a money system. When it comes down to it, once again, it really depends on the situation. Amped weapons is nice, but if you're playing optimally, there's really no reason to get it since you'll be in your Titan anyways, at least in easy mode runs. Batteries are good to get if you have extra money left over. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to get core, and the main reason for getting one is just to have that extra health. Nuke rodeos are a bit niche, but who knows, maybe we just haven't found the right spot for them yet. Still, for now, I would avoid buying them. Our traps are situational. Put them in the wrong place and they can mess up your rotation since they'll be slowing down enemies. But if you put them in the right place, you can manipulate enemy spawns, group up Titan/Reapers for easier kills, and our traps have the added benefit of removing all the extra shields off of the Titan, which for Ronin means one less sword swing. Sentry turrets always are a must-buy, in easy runs anyway. They can single-handedly take down a Titan and are good for taking out smaller groups of enemies that you may have missed. Put them in a good enough spot and you'll get some insane value. And finally, we have the Harvester Shield. While expensive, they can come in handy on certain rotations where you let the enemies damage the Harvester, and it acts as a form of insurance in case you do somehow mess up. Otherwise, it's an item I usually wouldn't buy. Now let's talk about spawn mechanics real quick. Grunts, Spectres, Stalkers, and Drones are what we consider to be small enemies. You take out 4 of these guys, that counts as 1 unit. Reapers and Titans by themselves are big enemies, so they count as 1 whole unit. Taking out units progresses the wave. So, in terms of target priority, you don't want to ignore the little guys since they're so easy to take out. You have to balance your rotation though in order to be faster, which is basically the whole thing about Frontier Defense speedrunning. Certain maps like Blackwater Canal also have units that, if killed, will automatically trigger certain spawns. Now let's get into the good stuff. You know how I talked about the AWOL and phase tactical being used for that other 1% of the time? Well, fun fact, did you know you can amp satchels? This is very good for pre-trapping Titan spawns and just for more raw damage in general. Now for phase, we're not actually going to use the tactical throughout the waves, but instead we're going to have 2 loadouts with phase for the sole purpose of spamming phase shift for invisibility. That's right, if you chain phase shifts right after another, you have the ability to gain complete invisibility to the AI. Now you won't really know if you get it until you come face to face with the AI, but even if you don't get it in the first intermission, you can try as many times as you want in between waves. But the most surefire way to gain invisibility is to actually go Ronin. If you didn't know, Ronin happens to have 2 phase dashes if you reach the appropriate Aegis rank. So all you have to do is spam the dashes right after another. Out of the 2 ways, this method is definitely easier. Though another way you can technically become invisible is through electric smoke deployment through your Titan. If you're standing in E-smoke, it will make you invisible to enemies. Plus, the E-smoke can be used to stack up with slower units. Now, another cool tech is Sentry Blocking. If placed correctly, 2 sentries will be able to body block Titans. Though, be warned, sometimes Titans can overflow and push each other through the sentries. And yeah, those are the basics. As a disclaimer, frontier defense speedrunning is still largely untapped, and thus our resources like routes and spawns as such are limited or completely undocumented. RNG can also get in the way when it comes to certain maps and waves, which is why if you want to contribute and get competitive, join the Frontier Defense Speedrunning Discord, which will be linked in the description. There's only a select handful of us, and honestly, we could stand to have some fresh perspectives and just have more people running in general. Anyways, that's going to be all from me, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.